done now?
Minute 28.
You will also be exposed and humiliated. I'll see to that in court. But if one of you kills Wadsworth now, no one but the seven of us will ever know. He has the key to the front door, which he said would only be opened over his dead body. I suggest we take him up on that offer. The only way to avoid finding yourselves on the front pages is for one of you to kill Wadsworth. Now.
It's not Wadsworth.
Is he alive?
Mr. Body.
Stand back!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Clue the Movie Podcast, where we break down the 1985 cult classic movie Clue, 1 minute at a time. My name is Brad Gilmore, joined by Jeff Smith, and returning for a third week in a row, Mr. John Hatch. John, welcome back to the show.
Thanks again. Great to be here.
And John is the author of the upcoming What Do You Mean Murder? Clue and the Making of a Cult Classic that's available for pre-order wherever books are pre-orderable, as I've said before. And Jeff Smith is joining us right now, the proprietor of ClueDoc.com, and where you can watch the Clue documentary.
Baby.
All yours, Jeff.
Proprietor. You cannot have ClueDoc.
He owns
Got
it.
it years ago.
But I own ClueDoc1.com.
.net.
.net. Oh, yes. Somebody owns BradGilmore.com. Not coincidentally, it's another Brad Gilmore. But
Yeah, I try to get Jeff Smith anything, and that just doesn't work out.
yeah. Well, Jeff Smith, I can kind of see. I feel like it's a Brad Gilmore, I guess, isn't the most.
There are a lot of John Hatches out there in the world, John.
There's not a ton, but johnhatch.com sure isn't available either.
Golly.
There's enough, There's enough of us, I guess.
And you know what really bothers me is that BradGilmore.com forwards to BradGilmoreTherapy.com, which I guess I just gave him a free plug here. But
I've been looking for a new therapist, so that's good. I don't have to learn a new name.
But I'm like, you couldn't just let go of that domain, and I've asked for it before, and he is not very
So he's like,
willing.
people are going to look for BradGilmoreTherapy.com, but my patients, that might be too much for them to remember. So let's just see if they remember my name. Not even Dr. Gilmore.
No, Dr. Gilmore would be great. But then you have to run into the thing of like, do I put dr.gilmore.com? Well, that won't work. So you have to do DOCTOR.
You painted yourself in a spelling corner, dude. You did that.
Never do it. It's like doing math in your head, but live on the radio. It's not good.
Well, speaking of confusion, and I knew this was going to happen. I mentioned this at the premiere that John was nice enough to attend of Who Did It. I knew one day, because John Hatch and Jeff Smith close enough that there would be confusion down the road. And it has happened finally once where I got an email that was sent to Enjoy the Ride Records, who is the distributor of the documentary, but I was copied on it, and it said there was supposed to be talking to kid about the special features that got left off the DVD. Not that it bothers me, but they said it was supposed to be a podcast interview with John Hatch on the DVD. So I responded back and I said, yeah, I know it's not there. And then I put my name on it. And they go, oh, wait, that's right. He's the book guy. So they're aware. They just flipped a coin. And unfortunately, it's similar enough. Both have the TH at the end. Same amount of letters. It's going to be confusing. But
I'm going to make johnhatch.com forward to jeffsmith.com.
Oh, you're going to break their brains. Well, jeffsmith.com, there's a few of those. There's a someone ready
We're about
for
to find
office
out.
always. And there's someone that makes saddles, a Jeff Smith. Saddle maker.
Well, jeffsmith.com. Oh, man, no. What is this? Oh,
no.
I think it's an in memoriam right now. I'm not trying to laugh.
Oh. Well, good. Maybe I'll get it.
Jefferson Smith in memoriam.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's kind of like you have look at the obituary. What's the joke in When Harry Met Sally? If you want a good apartment in New York, you look at the obituaries to
Oh
see what
yeah.
opens up. That's how you get domains too.
I guess that's how you get domains. And johnhatch.com, by the way, John, you'll be pleased to know, is available for purchase.
Oh.
For $3,600. What?
Well, actually $35.99. It's quite the steal.
Yeah.
So you can click to inquire, by the way, if you want to try to work a deal out. I don't know.
You better do it before the book comes out because that is going to go up in price. I guarantee it.
Yeah, $3,500 is a lot of money for a domain. So anyway, well, hey guys, we're talking about a movie here. The movie.
What?
We're not here talking about domains. We're talking about Clue the movie, and it's this minute 28 begins with Mr. Body discussing what to do with the weapons and how Wadsworth has imprisoned them. We also see some of our beautiful presidential portraits in the study during this minute, and it ends with the lights going out, screams, grunts, umphs, and lights turning back on, and a dead body, presumably, that is not Wadsworth's body, but it's someone's body. And we're going to talk about whose body the body is. Jeff, I'll throw to you. Minute 28. Yeah. First
of all, lovely tracking shot around. Boy, it's a lovely choreographed moment with Mr. Body making his way around the room.
And again, I'm not so certain. I'm starting to doubt that he was 80 yard. I'm starting to doubt it because it looks so great in this scene. But maybe I'm wrong. But continue, Jeff.
I don't know. Michael McKee has never lied to me before.
It's true. He's not a well-known liar.
Yeah, beautiful tracking shot. And then I'm amused now when it shows the shot of Wadsworth where his eyes get big because that's like the birth of a million Etsy t-shirts of Tim Curry making that face. They definitely use that image on a lot of Clue fan merchandise.
And
it's a wonderful shot, and it ends with Peacock sitting in her chair. She never gets up until it's time for her to turn on the lights. But correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't there a fire burning in the fireplace?
Oh, wait.
So when the lights go out, it shouldn't be pitch black.
Oh, well.
There is definitely a fire in the fireplace. Yeah.
That's okay. I still love the movie, but you'd be able to see.
Well, so, John, your first impressions of minute 28.
It's funny. I thought the same thing as Jeff. Like that was the group shots. Jonathan Lynn has talked about this. The group shots are the hardest to do. And they would do, most takes in Clue weren't bad. They would do 3 or 4, but this one I think took a lot more. They spend a lot of time in the study for these scenes. And because that was a tricky shot for them to get. And that was kind of my first thought. They would have to follow leaving around the room, track with him, and then zoom in on him there at the end as he goes to there. I'm looking this up. They actually did this. And now that I'm looking this up, 4 takes. That's pretty good.
That's it. That's because he also has to time his dialogue to be at the right spot. I don't know if I could do that in 4 takes.
Yeah.
To time it to get to the person where he says the line.
That is impressive.
Look at the ground to make sure he's standing in the right spot. That's what I would do. I would be walking up to the person, stop and go dialogue, and then adjust and look over the other way and do it again. So
yeah.
Good on you leaving.
Good on leaving. Great on leaving.
You have to carry that whole shot.
Do you think, I'm going to ask this to John first, and then Jeff, your retort. Do you think that Mr. Body was convincing enough for everyone to turn on Wadsworth when the lights were cut out? Do you think that he was persuasive with his argument of, let's just kill this guy and then we'll leave and no one will be the wiser?
Not even a little bit. I'm not sure how he thought handing out weapons to people that he's blackmailing was going to work out for him.
Yeah.
Like blackmailing. I mean, mystery fans know, like blackmailing is the old standby, right? Like it's in Agatha Christie, it's in Raymond Chandler, and that is how murders happen. The blackmailer always dies. It never works out.
Mr. Body didn't read enough mystery novels.
Apparently not. No. So, and he's, I mean, presumably, if they kill Wadsworth and then no one knows, he's going to keep blackmailing them.
Yeah.
It's not, that maybe that should have been what he offered. He should have said, hey, I will stop, but, we got to get rid of Wadsworth because he's determined to turn us into the police. But this can all go away if you kill Wadsworth and you'll never hear from me again. That would have been a little bit more persuasive, I think.
He does say only the 7 of us will know, but you're right. He's not clear enough that, hey, now we're all in this together. The creep that's been sitting in the back of the room, touching the maid's backside. And now we're friends.
Yeah.
Let's kill the nice butler that gave us soup and a pseudonym.
Soup and a pseudonym. How is that not the title of your book there, John? Soup and a pseudonym. The making of Clue the movie.
That's going to be the pop-up restaurant that we start together in Utah.
Oh, that would be great. Well, let me ask you this. So if they do kill Wadsworth, only the 7 of us will ever know, but could then not someone use that to either one, get out of their blackmail or in turn blackmail Mr. Body? Whoever wants to take it.
I wonder, they need evidence. They have the recording that's still going in the library. They'd have to retrieve it.
I forgot about Yvette too, that she's just, and the cook.
And Yvette and Cook are in there.
They're out there.
Yeah.
Mr. Body knows why they're there.
Right. It's an odd thing. I mean, everyone forgets that these other people are in the house, like at the moment.
What do you think the cook's doing during all this?
She's washing dishes. That's what one of the flashbacks shows. She's washing dishes when she gets stabbed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. She was a cook till the end. Good for her.
I mean, she was committed. She was committed.
Ooh, John wasn't here when we talked about the cook and all, but you got to talk to the family of the actress.
Yeah.
The book, and you're a big MASH
I am
fan.
a huge MASH fan. Yeah. So it was fun to talk to. I talked to Kelly Nakahara's daughter and her husband, and they were very lovely, and it was fun to talk to them. They didn't have a ton of Clue stories, but they did get to visit the set. They would go pick her up. And they got to walk around the set, and her daughter was like, it was like a real mansion. Yeah. You couldn't tell. And then the other great story that came out of that was, I think nobody else ever interviewed Kelly Nakahara. And I think people just think she's barely in it, but she was on the set the whole shoot, playing a corpse. These weren't dummies or anything. All the corpses were the actors. And so she was around the whole time and got to do a lot of stuff. But after they dragged her into the study and threw her, sorry, we're jumping ahead a few minutes, but when they dragged her in, her family said she came home and showed her kids her bruises from being thrown around, and she threw herself over the couch to show her kids what it was like, and they laughed and just thought it was a lot of fun.
Plus, she had to have Christopher Lloyd's hand on her butt for a lot of that. That's something I did not know if they were always playing the actual bodies, because I assume later the singing telegram girl there's no way that's Jane Whelan, because they drop her pretty hard unless there's a cushion.
Yeah.
I don't know if
they used dummies. They used a dummy for that, and then they used a dummy when they dropped the cook on her face. That was a dummy. Yeah. The family, Kelly Nakahara's family, also remembered, and this was interesting because I was like, what, is that right? Because this kind of doesn't align with some of the things Jonathan Lynn has said, but her family said, kind of ironically, the cook is supposed to be this large woman, and her weight is kind of an ongoing joke. But when Kelly Nakahara got the part, she lost a ton of weight. And so they actually put padding on her and in her costume.
Okay.
And there are some takes in the shot list that are labeled as no good because her padding was exposed.
Ah.
Wow. Okay. So she had lost some weight. So there was dialogue pretty much being like, do you get high off your own supply? Like, I don't know. Like, what would be the joke about her weight and the cook? Was there just cook jokes?
I think it's just heavy to pick up. That's still it.
Oh, okay, that's what you mean.
Lift her, they're like really. Miss Scarlet has a wonderful face when they're picking up her body later. Where she's really struggling. Somebody, and then Mr. Green, somebody help me, please.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And then they contrast that against carrying Jane Weedland in where it's just the two guys and they just quickly drop her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when I saw Clue, I saw it at the Alley Theater here in Houston. They did a live stage play of it. Big dummy use. A lot of dummy use in the stage play. A lot of dummy use. Mr. Body was pretty much a dummy right after he gets killed for the whole time. Same with the cook. A lot of dummy use. A lot of dummy use. You would think that in a play there wouldn't be as much dummy use, but a lot of dummies. They were very pro dummy. If I haven't.
Did they like really make it obvious that it was a dummy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it was played for comedy a little bit.
They're throwing them around.
Right. Yeah. And it wasn't the most realistic dummy. The play was very good. Let me not try to.
No, but it's like the Naked Gun where Ricardo Montalban is carrying Priscilla Presley up the stairs at Angel Stadium, and then it cuts to the dummy and he's flailing it around, and it's very obvious. I'm a big fan of dummy humor, so I approve that.
Well, it's good. It's good.
I've never said that to anybody, but I'll reveal it here on the Clue the Movie Podcast.
Now, what is your stance on ventriloquism?
I'm all for it. I think it's a lot. It's an art that does not get enough respect.
Okay. Well, I take your word for it.
I don't care what you say, Brad Gilbert.
I'm not going to say anything. Now, when the lights are cut off, we hear several sounds. It feels like there's a oof at first, like a male
it's a good
oof.
Which I always thought was mustard.
And then there's the scream, which sounds like Peacock. And then the lights, and then there's the gunshot, obviously.
Yeah.
So
I've wondered if I have to imagine that it was all done on purpose, but it sounds like Mr. Body grunts and falls before the gunshot.
No, it does.
And
it's 100%.
Yeah. And I'm like, was that like an editing thing where they got that mixed up? But I imagine they did it on purpose. But he's supposed to fall, after he feels the gunshot graze his ear.
I'm trying to see if I can pull, because I think I figured out how y'all can hear this now. So let me see. Because there has to be some sort of real reason to this. So let's see. Here's where the lights are turned off with Mr. Body. And let's see if we can break this sound down here.
The only way to avoid finding yourselves on the front pages is for one of you to kill Wadsworth.
Still no sound for me.
Oh, there's still no sound? Y'all don't have sound?
No.
Oh, I said share audio. I guess it's not working for whatever reason. Never mind. Well, the first thing you hear is it sounds like someone falls, right?
Yeah.
It's the first thing that you hear. Sounds like someone's falling. Or something's being placed down. I really have to share this audio with you. I got to figure this out.
You're going to have to recreate it.
Because this is very important. This is very important. I can't recreate this. Are you kidding me? Share sound. Let's see. So, okay, let me try one more time. Can we hear this just as a test?
Yes.
The only way to avoid finding yourselves on the front pages is for one of you to kill Wadsworth. Now.
Okay, so right there. What's falling? Something fell. Is that a body or is that a person? Is that a person or is that a package that falls? Let's hear it again.
Wow, we really are.
What is that? Because it actually almost sounds like there's a boom boom, almost like if you're dropping. I don't know, what could that be?
Multiple things are falling. The second thing could have been a weapon,
or it almost sounds like what do you got, John?
Oh yeah, it sounds like to me someone falling and kind of like they fall and then their hand hits the ground or they kind of roll over.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That's what I was thinking too. Let's imagine that for Mr. Body, but I mean that would have been a very. So maybe you're right.
Groans.
And then he groans.
But then how would his ear get grazed if he's already on the floor?
It's not Wadsworth.
So wait, one more time. One more time here.
not Wadsworth.
Is he alive?
Oh man, I don't know. That is really difficult to break down. It definitely sounds like a body hits, then the hands hit, like you said, John. I'm on with this theory. But you're right, Jeff. The gunshot grazes him, or I don't know.
It hits his ear.
And he didn't have anything in his hands, correct? Like he wouldn't have dropped anything.
He had a glass.
No, he puts the glass down
puts it down when he turns the
before
light off.
he
Right.
turns off the light. Yeah.
Because I was thinking maybe he dropped to his knees, drops something, then the gunshot. Well, no, but then he's like, oh. We're assuming that's him. Who else would be groaning?
If they're bumping into each other, which they tend to do in this movie.
Man, this is the biggest mystery of Clue the movie. Or what are the noises? I mean,
what's happening in the dark?
we definitely
That
know.
we should be able to see because of the fireplace.
Ugh. But we definitely know there's a gunshot, obviously. The gunshot breaks a lamp, is what it sounds like. Or breaks some kind of glass.
Yeah, but then
It breaks a vase on the mantle.
Vase.
Right. Yeah,
On the
it
mantle,
breaks
that's
the
right.
vase on the mantle, yeah.
Vase on the mantle. There's the scream. Do we think this is Miss Peacock who screamed?
I thought it was Scarlet because a lot of the screams are Scarlet. Even Yvette's.
I thought it was Scarlet.
Okay, maybe it's
Yeah.
Scarlet.
She's got a good scream.
Yeah, but she wouldn't seem phased by a gunshot. I'm sure there's been some shots fired, and I'm not trying to say that as a double entendre. As Jeff is making the gesture of. I don't know. Well, it's definitely the body hitting the floor, but I can't really figure this one out. I guess we put this to the people. Do we put this one to the people? The people have to tell us.
Yeah, definitely. Comment below. That's just what people say. I don't even know if there are places for comments on this.
there will be.
Comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and put the comment below.
It's good
5
for the
stars.
algorithm. It's good for the algorithm.
That's right.
5 stars.
Always good for the algorithms. Not to get away from this, because I don't think we're going to get the answer to, but
No.
we start to watch in the shot from above, the God shot, Wadsworth is standing there in the room, but you see him start to sneak off to the right, and he's going towards one of those beautiful paintings. And then in the next minute, you'll see Wadsworth for the rest of the scene.
Yeah, and you hear Colonel Mustard saying, "It's not Wadsworth."
It's not Wadsworth.
So
Is he supposed to be the dead body? That's why he gets that close up when the lights come on. We're supposed to be surprised that he's still there.
yeah, well, I wonder why is Colonel Mustard surprised it's not Wadsworth?
I think he's doing that for us.
Was he doing that for the audience?
Yeah. In case anybody didn't figure it out, because his body is on the ground and face down.
It's not Wadsworth. I don't know. Maybe he had the wrench, right?
He has the wrench.
I got to keep track of this because it seems like an interesting thing for him to say. Because to me, that implies that he had murderous intent of Wadsworth.
Well, there's a lot of talk about killing Wadsworth, and it's not Wadsworth.
Yeah, maybe he was swayed by Mr. Body's speech and thought someone was definitely going to kill
Right.
If
Wadsworth,
anybody could have been, it probably would have been Mustard. He would be off to the side. Yeah, that would solve all the problems.
That's my favorite line that I read from Martin Mull promoting the movie in 1985. He said, Colonel Mustard could be in an intelligence contest all by himself and he'd come in third.
Yeah, he's definitely. Yeah, maybe that's just his character. If he's pointing out the obvious. Hey guys, look, it's not the butler.
Right. He's the one that later has to spend a good chunk of time going. So whoever found out Hook was involved killed her. Yes, and then he's very proud of himself that he could get that out.
Yes. I wonder what Mr. Body, going back to what John was saying, like I wonder what his confidence level was like when he turned those lights off. You got to be pretty damn confident to not think that someone's going to take a swing at you.
I would definitely duck. He's
already been attacked by two different guests.
Yeah, he's had a knee to the groin.
Right, and an eye poke.
Colonel Mustard tried to punch him, and then
the eye poked him.
Yeah,
that's right.
Your favorite.
I love the eye poke. The eye poke popped me really hard when we watched it back. It was really funny.
Three Stooges.
Yeah, I know, totally.
It was so funny. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. Yeah, so you would think after being assaulted already, and attempted to be punched out, you have to have what we call. There's a thing. So when I watch NBA or we're covering NBA on the radio, whenever somebody has no business pulling up like a little past half court and just chunking up a three, right? We call that irrational confidence. There's just no reason that person should be doing that. And Mr. Body, irrational confidence. That is like a full court shot. Yeah, but it is irrational confidence for him to turn those lights off after passing out murder weapons. Now, if his intent was for them to always kill Wadsworth, does he think that passing the murder weapons out is the easiest way to do that? Or does he think, okay, I'm going to give everyone a weapon? As he explains, I'm going to give everyone a weapon. You can kill somebody with this.
Well, we won't know who did it.
We won't know who did it. Although, like, if he has a bullet hole, you would kind of be like, I wonder who had the gun. If he's got a stab wound, I wonder. The only ambiguous really would be either scarlet, green, or mustard, right? Because it would all be blunt force trauma from a similar shaped and size object. But the lights off and on is not enough time for Mrs. White to do it, theoretically speaking, to strangle
him. Find his neck, hope he doesn't move.
Yeah, take the time to place it around. There's no like strangling sounds.
No. There's no rope involved.
No rope involved. We know a gun's fired, but theoretically, we don't think that it killed him yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as of now, we think that it didn't even touch him.
Well, that's what we think, but does the audience think that?
Yeah, right now they do. Because we don't find the graze of the ear till way later.
Right. So now they think it could maybe potentially be the bullet. It's hard. It is sometimes hard to think about this, John, like, because you've seen this movie. How many times have you think you've seen this movie?
Oh man. I mean, easily, I actually write in the beginning of the book, in the introduction, that a lot of people say, I've seen that 100 times. And if you really stop and count, there's probably not many movies you've seen 100 times when you really count out to 100. But this one, this is the one, especially the last year writing the book. This one's the one I've seen 100 times.
Same for you, Jeff. Have you seen this movie 100 times?
Probably not. I will say I definitely watched it a lot more, ironically, before I started doing the documentary. And then with the documentary, I would see lots of pieces of it. Like I would watch parts before I'd go interview somebody, or I'd watch parts to get clips. But watching it straight through, before the other night when we watched it at the theater in Santa Ana, it had been quite a while. So it was actually very fun to watch it again and watch it on the big screen. And now we're watching it slowly on the podcast.
What did you think of this format, John, of watching a movie 60 seconds at a time?
I think it's like, I'm really not just saying this. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great idea because it promises to cover everything, but there's also like an end game, right? We're going to get to the end here and we're going to have covered everything with this movie. And then when you're done, you can do 1 minute at a time of Who Done It, the Clue documentary.
Oh my gosh!
Now
go through that a minute at a time.
You don't need to do that. I've done that several times. In fact, it's funny to hear you talk, John, because through the edit, I have heard you talk for the last, half a year or whatever, and sometimes you do. I quote you on accident because there's a part where you talk about the original, one of the original ideas for Clue, where there was going to be talking back to the screen. I think it was Deborah Hill's idea. And there's a part in it where you go, that was rather ambitious of her. You kind of lean in when you say it. And I totally copy that now because I've watched you do that a million times. And it's funny that there's a kid in the documentary towards the end that quotes Clue, this little kid named Dashiell, who was 8 when the recording was made of recreating the scene. And Dashiell came to the last screening we had in Santa Ana. Dashiell's now 12. And that blew my mind because everybody in my world of whodunit is frozen in what they look like.
Right.
Michael McKean looks how he looks. The only one that you could actually see age is me. But everybody else, because I was only with them for a day, and some of them were a long time ago. Like, unfortunately, Jonathan Lynn, I invited him to come to our New York screening, and he said he was ill and couldn't make it. And I thought, oh, that stinks. And I thought, oh, yeah. Because he was the first interview I did, and he's not old, but he's not young. So I thought, ooh, that's gonna be weird. And actually one of the artists from that did the matte paintings of the house has passed away since I interviewed him. So that's weird.
That's right. Yeah. Jonathan Lynn turns 80 in April.
Okay.
In a month.
But
about a month.
80 isn't the age it used to be.
No.
Right?
It's not. No.
80's still young, sort of. Right? Like, not in like, hey, I can go, back to college and start a whole new career young, but like, it's still not old to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
It depends on what's the line in Raiders of the Lost Ark? It's not the years, it's the mileage.
Yeah.
It depends on some people's 80 is way different than my grandmother is 99 and she actually came to the last screening that we had and she was like, ball of energy on fire, and she's like, she'll outlive us all. She's not going anywhere. And
wow,
she's just
99?
Remarkable.
Did she turn 100 this year?
She will in October.
Wow.
So yeah, she was there. She hadn't been out at the house at night in a few years because she hasn't had COVID, and she really doesn't want to get COVID. And anyone that's 99 should not get COVID.
No, it's not a good play.
Super careful with it, and it was a miracle. It meant a lot to me that she came. I couldn't believe it. I thought because they had said, because she lives kind of near the theater, and my parents said, we'll bring her because I brought it up as if she wants to, but if she doesn't, it's no big deal. It's fine. If she wants to just get there and see the first 5 minutes and leave, that's fine. But she stayed for the whole thing.
That's incredible. Well, look at that. Mazel to your grandmother and to Jonathan Lynn. Incredible.
Everybody.
Well, you know what? I think that we've covered 28. Right, I think that we've covered minute 28 rather thoroughly. We're gonna come back minute 29. Again, we want to thank John Hatch for joining us for this series of minutes. What do you mean, murder? Clue in the making of a cult classic. What were alternate titles for your book, by the way?
Oh, all similar. I really liked What Do You Mean, Murder? I mean, you put murder in a title, right, and you're good to go. Yeah. But I think it was just plays on that and then playing around with Clue and stuff, but it stuck pretty early on.
Was it same with you, Jeff? Was Whodunit always?
Yeah, it was. And somebody later said you should have called it the Doc Cluementary.
Oh, that.
Which I said, that's clever, but I can only imagine on that website.
Yeah.
And it's hard enough. You really have to stop to say it. You can't say that one.
Yeah.
Documentary. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of goes over the head a little bit.
I like it. And also when the style of the movie changed, before the whodunit meant it was about the people that made the movie. And then when it started to shift focus to being about fans of Clue who have kept it alive all these years, then the title suddenly kind of shifted to first half of the movie is about who made it, and then the second is who's kept it going, and then together we all done it, which is also why in the poster artwork and a lot of times when I write it out, there is no question mark because it's not a question. It's here's who done it. It's very Roger Rabbit in that way because if you notice, Who Framed Roger Rabbit does not have a question mark.
Wait a minute, does it not? It doesn't, does it? Whoa!
It's not a question. This is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It's Who Framed. We know Who Framed.
Yeah.
Wow! Look at you,
Christopher
Jeff.
Lloyd. It was Christopher Lloyd.
It was
Christopher Lloyd. I mean, look, man.
Roger Rabbit.
Look, man. For him to play though, I know we're about to wrap, but for him to play Doc Brown and Professor Plum, same year, kind of diametrically opposed to one another. They're not very similar at all.
No.
In character.
A lot of people don't even realize that when I would post a TikTok clip of just like him saying it's you and me, honey bunch, I would get the typical, I was this years old when I realized Doc Brown was Professor Plum.
Now, I'll tell you one that's going to blow your mind here in a second.
Yeah.
I don't know if either one of you were fans of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Anyone, either one of y'all ever see that?
That's the next documentary. No, I have not.
Ever seen that movie?
Haven't seen it.
So
Haven't seen it.
I'm a child of the 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm 92. So that was a big movie for me, right? And there's a classic villain. Anybody who's 30, around 30, maybe 34 to 25 will all know Ivan Ooze. And Ivan Ooze is also Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
Right? Same actor.
Oh, okay.
In our language.
Renee. Say his name Renee something or other.
Something like that. And when I found that out, it was earth-shattering for me. I was like, wait a minute. Ivan Ooze is Belloc, two of the great villains in cinematic history. I see Jeff is Googling Ivan Ooze.
I am. He went from Raiders of the Lost Ark to
Are you
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I don't say that disparagingly other than just I'm too old for that nonsense.
Oh, come on. You're never too old for a little goodness. Have you are you
Paul
looking?
Freeman.
Paul Freeman?
Paul Freeman.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were off on
Right.
that one.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, Renee's the character's name. Renee Belloc.
Renee
Renee
Belloc.
Belloc.
There you go. I was
Gotcha.
like, why did
Yeah.
I think Renee too? Yeah.
Yeah.
Renee Belloc. Well, anyway, there you go. Do you see Ivan Ooze, Jeff?
Yeah, hold on. I want to see what he looks like.
But John, so people can read your book. What can people just kind of give them again the pitch of what the book is about, and what can Clue fans who are listening to this podcast expect to learn about this cult classic?
I walk people through the movie kind of similar to how you're doing with the podcast. So I have 5 chapters
There you go.
I have 5 chapters that are just walking through Clue, about 10 minutes, 20 minutes at a time, and going over everything. I decided to do it that way because fans of this movie are so familiar with the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it made sense to go through it that way instead of by production schedule or anything like that, and just calling out stuff. So it's kind of an annotated version of the movie. You can go through it and learn whatever you need to know. But I also go through the development quite a bit. I talk about John Landis. These minutes that we've just watched, this last minute, that was actually John Landis. The whole thing of passing out the gifts with the weapons in them, that comes from John Landis. And so going through the development and how it all came about, I talk about Jonathan Lynn quite a bit in his career, get into the movie, and then how it flopped and how they marketed it, all of that kind of stuff. It'll get you from A to Z.
It'll get
Did you write it with you kind of mentioned, did you write it with the assumption that anybody that's reading the book has seen the movie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You never decided to try to gauge it to like anyone that, because I had that same, decision to have to make. Like, do I make this that's why it starts with just the commercial. There were a couple people at the last screen that hadn't seen Clue, and I said, I would like to talk to you afterwards because I did not make it for you at all. You have no business being here. And then at that screen, they did show Clue, but they showed it after. So that was an odd order. But yeah, I did the same thing, right? I thought, all right, no one's going to see this if they haven't seen Clue.
Yeah, it's very much like kind of a through theme that I have through the book is nostalgia, because that's to me that's really what makes Clue what it is, right? This movie is popular today because of kids in the 80s and 90s who were homesick one day and saw it on cable TV, and I love that part of it, and that's what's kept me coming back to it.
Yeah.
And you would approach, like, I know you had talked about before about you always wanted to do a book on Silence of the Lambs, and your approach on that would be completely different than the Clue book.
Very different. Yeah, there's a lot of movies that I love that I thought, well, nobody's really written about. There are some books, there's scholarly books and stuff. I thought about, the Maltese Falcon, stuff like that. But those would all be very different projects from Clue, which was kind of this sweet spot of, it's got all these fans and people really love it, but there's really very little until your documentary. There's like your documentary and Adam Very's article in BuzzFeed. And that's
Yeah,
about
right.
it, you know?
Yeah, there's the
That's
occasional
it.
Joe Blow. What did happen in this movie? It's like 15 minutes.
Yep.
And of course, the book. Yeah, I think we talked about this when we met. It's a sweet spot where it's popular and the studio doesn't care about it.
Yeah. Mhm.
They're not going to do anything with it. So
Yeah.
the heroes show up and we do it.
Yeah. We should organize like a protest outside Paramount. Release the fourth ending, Paramount.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
They have it.
Do they have it? Are we sure they have it?
We're not 100% sure. I mean, I don't know that we can be 100% sure, but I would be shocked if they didn't. I mean, it was shot, it was edited, it was put into test screenings. There somewhere out there, somebody's seen it. You know, it was done as a test screening, and that's why it got removed. It wasn't for length or anything else. It just didn't work at a test screening.
Well, three endings is better too, though, right? Like
the fact that it made it all the way to the novelization and the kids' book, and in the commercials, the trailers. There's a couple. The Professor Plum line. What's this got to do with me? Correct me if I'm wrong. That's from the fourth ending, right?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, you can go online right now and look at a commercial, and you'll see blink and you miss it footage from the fourth ending.
Oh man, but you know what? Like, probably they made the right call, because Jonathan Lind, he doesn't even remember like what the fourth ending was, right? And it doesn't sound like the best ending too. Like, I could see why that didn't play with the test audiences. It just doesn't. It's not as fun as what we now know as the true ending of the movie, which was the one that you saw, John, the first time you went and saw it in the theater. The true ending of the movie. Let me ask you this. This is my last question, I guess, for John. Is, of the three endings, what is your favorite?
My favorite is This Is How It Really Happened.
Okay.
That's my favorite. I think the one that makes the most sense is Scarlett and Yvette. That makes a lot of sense to me. That she wants their secrets so that she can also, you know, go on blackmailing people, and it works really well. It works really well. There's a note from Paramount Pictures when Jonathan Lind turned in his screenplay that says, if you decide to just do one ending, this is the one you should do.
Oh, wow. There you go. I agree.
Yeah.
I actually really like that one. Makes a lot of sense for the story. Because I guess if I have one criticism of Clue, it's that if you try to really make it make sense, it's very hard to, right? Like, it's hard to try to be like, okay, wait, and they were in this room, at this room. It had to be like, you can draw lines, but they're not straight lines. But I do really like that ending of that one. Jeff, what's your favorite ending?
I think I agree that This Is How It Really Happened is the most fun. It is the one that makes the least amount of sense, just because you hear Mrs. White screaming when she's supposed to be waiting for Yvette in the billiard room. So I like that one because it lets everybody have a turn.
Right.
Mrs. Peacock's my least favorite, but Mrs. Peacock is a man is a good line. and Madeline Kahn's vocals on Jolly Good Fellow. It's tough. Every ending has the classic line that you have to have all three, because without the Niscarla one, you don't have 1 + 2 + 2 + 1. Without Mrs. Peacock, you don't have Mrs. Peacock as a man. And without the third ending, you don't have flames on the side of my face.
Oh, man, that's right. Yeah, you need them all. You need them all. Well, you can find Jeff Smith's documentary about this great movie at cluedoc.com, or information about it. John Hatch has a book coming out this year and in the great month of November, which is the month before December, for those of you following at home.
Just in time.
Which is close to the holiday spirit. And it is called What Do You Mean Murder? Clue in the Making of a Cult Classic. John, thanks so much for joining us for these 3 minutes. We really enjoyed having you. And hopefully down the line, you can carve out some time in your schedule for us again, and we can talk more about Clue the movie minute by minute.
Anytime. I'm ready.
All right. Look at that. Look at that. Well, for Jeff Smith and John Hatch, I'm Brad Gilmore. Check me out on all social media at Brad Gilmore, thebradgilmore.com. And this has been Minute 28 of Clue the Movie Podcast. And we'll see you next time.
Hurry up, tape running out.